Right now, somewhere in Edmonton, a man is opening a repair bill for an engine that failed at 68,000 kilometers. His warranty ran to 60,000, and the vehicle that just cost him $8,400 was rated one of the most reliable SUVs in North America by every major American consumer publication for 4 consecutive years. The warranty was not written to protect you from what they found in their own tests. The warranty was written to expire before what they found in those tests arrives at your door. Not because the rating was fabricated, because the rating was built on data from Phoenix, from Dallas, from San Diego cities where January is a minor inconvenience and road salt is something people read about. The reliability data that Canadians use to make $40,000 and $60,000 purchasing decisions was generated in conditions that have almost nothing in common with Edmonton in February, with Saskatoon in March, with Thunder Bay in January, with Winnipeg every single morning from November through April. The engineering teams at these manufacturers knew this. They cold weather test in Timmins, Ontario. They drive prototypes on ice tracks outside of Kapuskasing. They know exactly what -30 does to transmission fluid viscosity, to timing chain tension or oil pressure, to CVT belt tension, to head gasket sealing surfaces cycling through a 50-degree temperature swing every 24 hours. They know. And what they knew went into the engineering reports. What went into the warranty was something different entirely. The ones sitting in Canadian driveways in the highest numbers right now. The ones with the most documented failures in Canadian climate conditions. The ones where the gap between what the manufacturer knew and what they told you is widest. If you own one of these, or you are about to buy one, what comes next is not a review. It is the conversation the showroom was never going to have with you. The first vehicle is also the most common. The Ford EcoBoost engine, the 1.5-liter and 2.0-liter turbocharged units fitted to the Escape, the Edge, and the Fusion from 2014 through 2019 carries a failure mode that Ford identified before these vehicles reached Canadian roads. The failure is coolant getting into the combustion chamber, and your climate is the reason it happens faster here than anywhere the reliability ratings were built. Here is what actually happens. The cylinder head runs hotter than it was designed to handle. In a Canadian winter, when that head is cycling from -30 overnight to +15 inches the afternoon every single day for 5 months, the gasket that seals it fatigues. Coolant gets in, the engine cooks itself from the inside. By the time the symptom is visible, white smoke, sweet smell, temperature gauge climbing, the repair bill is between $3,800 and $7,200 at a Canadian Ford dealership, depending on province and labor rate. Let that number sit for a moment. This failure most commonly presents between 55,000 and 85,000 kilometers. The standard bumper-to-bumper warranty ends at 60,000. That window is not a coincidence. That is a calendar built by a legal team, not an engineering team. In the United States, Ford extended the warranty on this component to 7 years and 150,000 miles for specific affected VIN ranges following owner pressure and legal action. Canadian owners received a warranty extension as well. It was shorter in duration, covered fewer model years, and required active dealer registration that thousands of Canadian Escape, Edge, and Fusion owners never received. The failure arrives. The warranty is gone. The $3,800 to $7,200 lands on the owner. Ford's customer relations line has a script for exactly that call. If you are looking at a used Escape or Fusion in that model year range right now, the inspection you need is not the standard visual check. You need a combustion gas test on the coolant reservoir and a cooling system pressure test before you hand over $1. That test costs $80 to $120. The alternative costs $7,200. The GM8 speed story is different, and it is going to make you angry in a different way. The 8L90 and 8L45 automatic transmissions fitted to the Silverado 1500, the Sierra 1500, and the Chevrolet Camaro from 2015 onward are not economy components. These are full-size trucks and performance cars bought by people who specifically chose GM because they wanted durability. What they got instead was a shudder violent enough to feel through the seat, through the steering wheel, through the floor, and a service advisor who told them it was normal. 3 consecutive model years. Normal operating characteristic. That was the official position. The reason it happens is this. The transmission was calibrated for moderate temperatures. When transmission fluid viscosity drops at -20 and below routine in Calgary, in Regina, In Saskatoon, from December through February, the pressure across the clutch pack exceeds what the calibration was designed to handle. The clutch shudders, the hard shifts follow. And every cold start, every winter morning, every drive to work in a Saskatchewan January, the internal wear accumulates a little further. In 2019, GM issued Technical Service Bulletin 19N A085, fluid change and software recalibration, not a recall. No automatic coverage. For vehicles already symptomatic past 60,000 kilometers, owners paid $350 to $600 out of pocket for a fix that addressed the calibration without reversing the wear already done. Let that land. For owners where the damage had progressed further, torque converter replacement runs $3,200 to $6,800 at a Canadian GM dealership. That is the number when the fix works. When it does not, when the internal damage is past, what a converter swap can solve. A full transmission rebuild runs $4,500 to $9,500. GM Cold Weather tested these transmissions. They drove them in conditions identical to what a Silverado owner in Regina faces every winter. The TSB acknowledged the failure mode. The recall that would have covered the repair never came. The distinction between a TSB and a recall is exactly $4,500 to $9,500. That distinction was not an oversight, it was a decision. Some of you just got angry. Good, because the next failure is quieter. It has been building since the day the vehicle was delivered. And there is not a single warning light on any dashboard that will ever tell you it is coming. The Nissan CVT fitted to the Rogue, the Qashqai, the Altima, and the Sentra across more than a decade of production destroys itself through arithmetic. And the arithmetic runs directly against every Canadian driving a short winter commute in a cold city. A continuously variable transmission needs its fluid to reach full operating temperature before the internal components work within design tolerances. In moderate conditions, that takes 3 to 5 minutes. In -25 to -35, standard in Edmonton, in Prince George, in Thunder Bay, it takes 12 to 18 minutes. The average cold weather commute in those cities is 8 to 14 minutes. I want you to think about what that actually means. Every winter commute, every single day, October through March. The transmission is running under stress conditions. It was not designed to sustain for a significant portion of every trip. There is no grinding. There is no warning light. The CVT operates smoothly, almost suspiciously smoothly, right up until the point where it stops operating at all. Replacement at a Canadian Nissan dealership runs $4,800 to $8,500 depending on model year and province. And here is the part that belongs in a legal document. Nissan extended its CVT warranty in the United States to 84 months and 84,000 miles following class action litigation. The Canadian extension was shorter in duration, covered fewer model years, and required dealer-initiated registration. Thousands of Canadian Rogue and Qashqai owners driving the exact same vehicles with the exact same transmissions in significantly harsher conditions than the American owners who received fuller coverage were never notified. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking your CVT is fine because it shifts smoothly and you have had no symptoms. Smooth shifting is not evidence of internal health. It is the last thing a CVT does before it stops shifting at all. Drop a comment right now. Tell me what vehicle you are driving, what province you are in, and how cold it gets overnight where you park. I want to see exactly how many Canadian drivers are sitting inside this failure window without knowing it. The Nissan situation is manageable if you catch it before 80,000 kilometers. Transmission fluid service at 60,000 kilometers, regardless of what the manual says, and proper warm-up time before driving in winter, these change the math. What is coming next does not give you that option. This next failure happens once, completely, and the number attached to it makes everything on this list so far look like routine maintenance. The Range Rover Evoque, the Discovery Sport, the Jaguar XE, and the XF all fitted with the Ingenium 2. 0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder from 2015 onward carry a timing chain failure that Land Rover and Jaguar dealerships across Canada have developed a very specific response to. The response is 2 words: operator, neglect. Here is what is actually happening. The timing chain tensioner uses oil pressure to stay tight. Oil pressure takes time to build after a cold start. At -25 to -40, every Calgary and Edmonton owner knows. This morning, full oil pressure takes 8 to 15 seconds to establish from the moment you turn the key. During those seconds, the timing chain runs loose. The internal guides that absorb that slack wear down. You cannot see it. No dealer scan catches it. No independent inspection detects it. Over 40,000 to 55,000 kilometers of Canadian winter, cold starts the guides wear to the point where the chain jumps a tooth or separates entirely. When it separates, the engine does not send a warning. It stops. Valves contact pistons. The damage is immediate and total. Engine replacement or rebuild at a Canadian Land Rover or Jaguar dealership runs $11,000 to $18,500. And when the owner brings that vehicle in, the service department pulls the oil change history, finds any gap or extension in the service record, and classifies the failure as improper maintenance, warranty denied. The $11,000 to $18,500 lands on the owner. That process has been working in Canadian cities since 2016. It is not a coincidence. It is a procedure. Land Rover's engineering team identified the cold start oil pressure delay as a risk in pre-production testing. A revised tensioner appeared in later production runs. The vehicles already in Canadian driveways were not recalled. The owners were not notified. And the dealership that sold the vehicle had a denial procedure ready before the first Canadian owner ever walked into a service bay with a seized engine. I know some of you are doing the math right now on a vehicle you are currently driving. Hold that thought, because the last vehicle on this list is still being sold new in Canada today this week, on dealer lots with the same defect built into the same engine that triggered a class action settlement in the United States. The Canadian fix was narrower. The Canadian owner received less. And the salesperson moving that vehicle today is not required to tell you a single word of what comes next. The Hyundai and Kia Theta Do, GDI engine, the Do, 0, liter and Do. CAT, liter 4-cylinder unit, is the highest volume failure on this entire list. The Sonata, the Santa Fe Sport, the Tucson, the Sorento, the Optima, the Sportage. Combined Canadian sales volume across those models and those production years puts this engine in more Canadian driveways than anything else covered in this video. The defect is in the connecting rod bearing tolerances. The manufacturing process left insufficient oil clearance in the bearings. Under sustained Canadian cold start conditions where oil pressure lag at -25 concentrates exactly the kind of stress these bearings cannot handle, the wear accelerates toward one outcome. The engine knocks at startup. The service advisor says it is normal. The owner drives it for another 3 months. The engine seizes. The knock is not normal. The knock is the engine telling you it is about to seize. Hyundai and Kia's internal engineering review identified the bearing tolerance defect before these vehicles entered Canadian production. In the United States, class action litigation produced an engine replacement program with defined reimbursement across specific VIN ranges. The Canadian program was narrower in scope, slower in rollout, and required owners to document oil consumption through a dealer-administered test lasting 60 to 90 days. During those 60 to 90 days, the engine that was already knocking continued accumulating damage. Engine replacement at a Canadian Hyundai or Kia dealership runs $6,500 to $11,000. Owners who fell outside the Canadian VIN range received that bill in full in a handshake. That gap cost Canadian owners the difference between a free engine replacement and an $11,000 repair bill. The gap was not accidental. The gap was jurisdictional, and the manufacturer understood exactly which jurisdiction gave them more room. Now the math. Because this is where the entire video lands in one place. The protective maintenance across every vehicle covered today: correct viscosity oil at 5,000 kilometer winter intervals, transmission fluid service at 60,000 kilometers, a pre-purchase combustion gas test at $80 to $120, proper cold weather warm-up time runs $400 to $700 per year done consistently. A single failure event from this list runs $3,800 at the absolute low end and $18,500 at the high end. That math does not need my help. You already did it. The manufacturers who built these vehicles profit from one assumption: that you do not know what their engineering teams know. Every dollar in a post-warranty repair billing cycle depends on that assumption staying intact. The dealership does not profit from your engine reaching 300,000 kilometers. The warranty department does not profit from paying every claim. They profit from the distance between what they documented internally and what they disclose to you. That distance is not a side effect of the business. That distance is the business. Subscribe, because next week we are going inside the extended warranty contracts being sold at Canadian dealerships right now in Ontario, in Alberta, in BC, and reading the exclusion clauses on screen, word for word, directly from the contract language. The Theta 2 bearing failure has a clause. The CVT replacement has a clause. The timing chain event has a clause. Each one was written after the manufacturer's own engineering data confirmed the failure mode existed. The warranty provider knew what was coming. They wrote the exclusion before you signed the contract. That video is going to make today look like an introduction. The information in this video exists in engineering reports, in class action filings, in Transport Canada recall databases, and in the service records of every independent mechanic from Halifax to Prince George who has rebuilt one of these engines or replaced one of these transmissions. It has always been available. It was never coming to you. That changes today. Now you have it.